Hello, got another guitar lesson for you. The last one involved the key of E, this one's in the key of A. It's basically the very same structure, the same pattern, but three different chords. So we're using A, D, and E. We start off on the A, and I'm going to start with a little turnaround just to get you into the thing, and I'm going to play it once, and then I'll go through and break it down. So. Bars, 2 bars, go to D, back to the same rhythm, I'm going to E for a bit, D, and then the A. So there's a bunch of some different things. Instead of doing the D pattern like a constant, which I find too hard and just kind of too difficult to do, it's really hard to do on these strings. You can do a little bit of a, if you really want to do that kind of revolving D thing. But basically we just started with an A for the first 4 bars. And it goes first, 2nd fret, 4th fret, 5th fret, same as we did with the E part. Last 12 are blues, so we're just going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And I'm just strumming, I'm kind of muting with my palm, but I'm basically strumming the A string open and the 2nd fret, or the D string, and the 2nd fret of the D string, the 4th fret of the D string, the 5th fret of the D string, back to the 4th fret. So 1, 2, and each one of those comes out to be a bar, so I do that 4 times essentially for the first part. So 2, 3, 4, and then what I'm doing is I'm just going to break up the rhythm, and I'm doing a D7th chord. So your normal D is like this. Instead of doing it that way, you can do it with the pinky, but the D normally goes on 2nd fret and the 3rd fret. I leave the D string open, play it like that. You can see my first finger's here, 3rd finger's here, middle finger's on the E string, the F sharp of the high E string. So instead of doing that, I'm switching it. I'm just doing D, A, and that's a C, just the 7th of this, which gives it that bluesy sound, and then I'm going to the F sharp. So my middle finger is on the 2nd fret of the G string, 3rd finger is on the 2nd fret of the high E string, 1st finger is on the 1st fret of the B string. So I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, then I'm going back into the A part, which is for 2 bars. Something a little different. I'm going to do the E, starting the turnaround, so it goes, and I go. So what I'm doing is hitting the 7th and hammering on the pinky, and then I'm going to do the turnaround, which is hitting the, basically I'm starting with the D string, and my 3rd finger is on, it doesn't really matter, you can use the 3rd or the 2nd finger, it's on the 5th fret, and I hit it on, off, on. So I'm going open to the D, back on. So on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off, on, and then I'm going into an E7th chord. You can do a normal E, but E7th is just the E pinky here. Or you can take this finger off like this and do what you want to do is basically play the E chord, add your pinky to the 3rd fret of the B string, and you can take your ring finger off the 2nd fret of the D string, so you're getting a D7th. alternative to that, it's kind of a standard thing, and I'm just trying to end on the D, or on the E7th, or to turn around, you can take this D7th and go up. This would be D sharp to E, and you can go like this. So my turnaround would be like, instead of going essentially just going to do this. I'm going to go and I'm just going back to the E7th the same way. So if you look up your chord theory, basically there's so many ways to play an E7th or a D7th. It doesn't really matter what you use. The trick is to just get that. I'm going to the E, which is what we played in the first lesson, and I'm going to the D. You can go here. And I'm doing a little turnaround, which is you can just get that 7th feel again, and then I go right back into the A again. It's a little more complicated than the E one, but that we did last time, the E lesson, 12-bar blues. But you kind of want to keep adding new stuff to your blues. If you just do the exact same thing, you know, it'll get so boring, you'll be bored, you won't want to play it anymore. So it's the crazy thing about the blues is it's really the same theory or the same basic structure, but people keep adding their little touches or their little changes to it. There's a good video with Joe Bonamassa, I can't even pronounce his name, but he's on, he does some really interesting turnarounds, and you can find that on YouTube. But a lot of it is really just, you know, you find different ways to play the chords and whatever you feel is best. So I'm going to go over it one more time, just the turnaround, and it can go from E like this to D. Just to make it clear that what I'm doing for the E turnaround is to go playing the top two strings. It's like boom, boom, and I jump and go to the D chord, or the top of the D chord, which goes, sorry. Those strings are a lot thinner, so it's easier to make them buzz, so you gotta be careful. You might want to fret the D note when you do that to get your little, but really I'm only playing the D and the G strings, and I'm doing the same, and I start my turnaround on the D string, the 5th fret of the D string. So I go on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off, on, and then I'm doing back to the E. So you can actually do a little slide there if you want. So I'm going on, off. What I'm doing is just sliding these two fingers. So let's say this is the middle finger on the 1st fret of the A string, ring finger on the 1st fret of the D string, and I'm sliding them up just the 2nd fret with the, and I hammer on the 1st finger when I get there. So you can do 7th. I don't have to do 7th, but this is the D. By the 7th, I mean the 7th note of the E chord, and I'm hammering on a D note there, just give it that 7th feel. But you just want to go slide these two. You don't have to hit all the strings, just hit the top 3. You hit the top 4 maybe, you know, just, so then you do that. It just gives it a little more feel, you know. You don't want to be too perfect on the rhythm all the time. You want to kind of change it up. Give people a little feeling there. It's all about feeling. It's music, right? So you don't want to be too perfect with your structure. You want to try some little flourishes, and eventually you'll start to make up your own. You know, there's all kinds of different ways to really make the blues your own. There's all kinds of scales. There's fills. Stevie Ray Vaughan will play the same thing as Johnny Winters as Albert King as Buddy Guy, and they all have their little flourishes and things that they've sort of figured out over the years to do their own style and to make the same music relevant and keep it constantly changing and constantly updated to the point where we are now. Like people like Jack White, C6D, they all have their own styles, so you go back to the ideas to go back as far as like Robert Johnson or Sunhouse or Leadbelly, and see how they started, and then you see the progression as people got better, as people started playing, went from fingerstyle to electric blues to rhythm and blues, to jazz. It's all about constant evolving and change. So I'm going to play it one more time and stop talking here. This is the 12-bar blues in A. There you go. Check out the next lesson. I'll show you how to take that and play Red House and I Can't Quit You Babe by Jimi Hendrix and covered by Led Zeppelin. Alright?